Welcome back to the podcast of Philippe. Today we are doing a deep dive, and today we're looking at DeepSeek. They've got this website and application with a really powerful language model, but it's really the rules and the policies they've set up that we want to kind of dig into. And explain, why maybe you should think twice before using it, especially for sensitive information.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the most alarming things that we found was they're storing all their data on servers in China. So that raises all sorts of questions about data security and privacy. We're also going to look at alternatives that offer some stronger privacy protection. So let's just dive right in. One of the first things that really stood out to me was just how much data DeepSeek collects. They collect everything. We're talking about the text you type, audio you record, files you upload, and even your entire chat history.
What's even more concerning is they track your keystroke patterns and your rhythm, which, that could be considered biometric data. That's very, very sensitive stuff. It can reveal unique patterns about you and expose you to risks you might not have even thought about.
Yeah. It was surprising to me how upfront they are about sharing this data with advertisers and analytics partners. They're not even trying to hide it in the privacy policy.
And it's not just about the data you give them on DeepSeek. It goes way beyond that. They're collecting data on what you do on other websites and apps, essentially tracking your behavior all across the internet. It makes you wonder, how are they using this data? And do users have any control over it?
Yeah. That lack of control is definitely a red flag. And then there's the issue of where they are storing all this data. DeepSeek keeps it all on servers located in China.
And that's a big problem. Chinese law says companies operating there have to hand over user data to the government if they ask. No exceptions. So even if DeepSeek has their own security measures in place, the Chinese government could still access all the sensitive user information.
Right. And that creates a huge compliance issue, especially for users in places like the EU who are protected by GDPR. That regulation has really strict rules about data privacy. Companies have to get your permission before collecting and processing your data. But DeepSeek's privacy policy doesn't say anything about complying with GDPR. It doesn't mention anything about handling EU data differently.
That's a huge concern. It makes you think they might not be doing what they need to do to protect data and meet international standards. And then there's their data retention policy. They say they keep data for as long as necessary, but they don't say how long that is, so they could be storing sensitive information forever, even if you delete your account.
Yeah, it's all very vague and unsettling. And they don't mention anything specific about their security measures either. Like, do they use encryption, two-factor authentication? These are pretty standard practices for protecting data.
Exactly.
And they say their app isn't meant for users under 18, but there's no way to verify age.
Yeah. It's all pretty worrying when you think about it. They collect tons of personal data, share it with who knows who, store it in a country with questionable data laws, and they don't tell you how they're protecting it. Makes you wonder, how much are we willing to give up our privacy for these AI tools?
I think that's the million-dollar question, right? How much convenience is worth our privacy?
Exactly.
Yeah, it almost feels like they're being deliberately vague about all this stuff.
It's possible, but there's another way to look at it, too. The fact that they're so upfront about their data collection and sharing, maybe that's actually a good thing. Like, maybe they're just trying to be really honest about what's going on, about the trade-offs of using their service.
That's a really interesting perspective. Makes you wonder, are other companies doing the same things but just hiding it better in their privacy policies?
Totally possible. That's why it's so important to be aware of these issues and really think about the services you're using. The good news is there are other options out there besides DeepSeek. Like, if you're comfortable with getting a little technical, you can actually install DeepSeek locally on your own computer. That way your data never leaves your device. You have complete control over it.
Right. And for people who want a simpler solution, there are platforms like Perplexity. They host DeepSeek locally in the US. So that takes care of some of the privacy worries about data being stored in China. But of course, Perplexity probably has its own data policies to consider, too.
Exactly. There's no perfect answer when it comes to data privacy. Every service has its own pros and cons. The key is to know what those are and pick the option that works best for you.
Yeah, I think this whole situation shows how important it is to have a real conversation about data privacy in this age of AI. As these technologies become more and more a part of our lives, we need to understand what it all means and demand more transparency and control over our data.
Absolutely. We can't just blindly accept terms and conditions without even reading them. We have to ask questions to hold these companies accountable and fight for better privacy protections. It's really important for the future of our digital lives.
Well said. This has been a really eye-opening deep dive. We've uncovered some serious concerns about DeepSeek, but we've also talked about some possible alternatives. And most importantly, we've emphasized why being informed and proactive about data privacy is so crucial.
It's all about making choices you feel good about. Hopefully, this discussion will help your listeners do just that.
On that note, I want to thank everyone for joining us on Le Podcast de Philippe. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful.
And remember, knowledge is power. The more you know about this stuff, the better equipped you'll be to navigate this crazy world of technology and data privacy.
Yeah, it's a tough spot, right? We have these incredible AI tools that can do so much for us, but then there's this potential for our data to be used in ways that we never agreed to.
It comes down to this, I think. What do we care about more? Convenience or privacy? And it's tough because there isn't always an easy answer. Sometimes we're okay giving up a little privacy if it means things are easier, but sometimes it's just too much and we have to say no.
Right, and that's why it's so important to be aware of all this, to educate ourselves about how these technologies work and what the risks are. Then we can make better choices. It's not about being afraid of technology. It's about knowing what's going on.
Exactly. And, it goes beyond individual decisions, too. We need to talk about this as a society, about data privacy, ethical AI development, and regulations that actually protect us. This isn't just a tech issue. It's about human rights.
I couldn't agree more. So this has been a really interesting deep dive into DeepSeek and the big picture of data privacy with AI. I hope everyone listening has learned something today. And we'll keep thinking about these important questions.
Absolutely. As AI gets more and more advanced, we need to be aware, engage, and make sure our voices are heard about our data rights.
It's true. We have the power to make a difference. So choose wisely, stay informed, and let's work towards a future where technology serves humanity, not the other way around. Thanks for joining us on the Podcast of Philippe. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and give this video a like if you found it helpful. Until next time, stay curious.